going on, guys? Stephen here with S&E's Garage. We're back here today with our 2007. I misspoke in one of my other videos. This is a 2007, not a 2008, even though there are no differences between the 2 years. But we are back with our 2007 Camry with the million-dollar question. One of the last videos I made with this car, I was more or less explaining to you guys the dangers of buying a Toyota with this engine in it, and why any person with a sane mind should not purchase one, mainly because of the oil burning and the cylinder head issues. But I mentioned in my last video that this car, at around 60 to 70,000 miles, I'm going to take a screenshot of the repair order and put it up in the video. This was actually at Toyota getting the technical service bulletin performed for excessive oil consumption, in which they replaced the pistons with a redesigned piston, and they also replaced the piston rings. Alright guys, so I went ahead and took the liberty of pulling this TSB up right here. It's T-SB-0094-11 for 2AZ oil consumption. Now, if you'll see here, these are the vehicles that Toyota says that it can affect. 2007 to 11 Camry Hybrid, 2007 to 2009 Camry, 2009 Corolla, 2009 Matrix, both with the 2AZ, 2006 through 2008 RAV4, and the 2007 2008 Solara. So, if we look, let's see. Here's the inspection procedure. We're not going to look at that. That's pretty simple. That's just, you know, checking the oil. So let's see. Serviceable engine consumption inspection procedure. Yes, so that's the inspection procedure. These are the VINs that would be affected. So you guys can look this service bulletin up yourselves. I just kind of wanted to show you the procedure for doing this. So the first thing they're going to have the technician do is remove the engine assembly and place it on the engine stand. And from there they start tearing the engine down. So step number 2 is to remove the cylinder head assembly. Step number 3 is to remove the pistons and connecting rods. Let's see here. So first you're going to remove the, the oil pan. It shows you how to remove the oil pan. You're going to remove the rear main seal. You're going to remove the girdle. The girdle is basically, it's an upper oil pan, more or less. It helps support the crankshaft. And the balance shaft. So it's basically, it's a procedure to pull, the engine out. Check the bearings with plastic gauge, make sure the rod and main bearings are within specification, and then they have you replace the pistons. You pop them off of the wrist pins and replace them. So this is something that, even though Toyota may not pay for anymore, you can have an outside shop or a Toyota dealer perform at your cost, at your expense. So just keep that in mind. If you do have one of these that burns oil, and you do want to keep it and you don't want to keep putting oil in it, this is really the only way you're going to be able to fix it. And the million-dollar question here is, does that service bulletin and or recall, whatever you want to call it, does performing that fix the issue with this engine as far as burning oil is concerned? Now, in here I have my receipt from when I got my tires and did the oil change at the dealership, and it had 160,147, so 160,147 miles. When I serviced it, changed the oil filter, oil pan, did all that stuff. I haven't touched the oil since. Let's see how many miles are on the car now. So right now we have 161,569. So it's gone around, I'm terrible at math. It's gone over 1,000 miles since the last time we changed the oil. So let's check the dipstick. Let's see if it's burned any. I've been keeping an eye on it, so I already know the answer to this because I did not want to run it dry. But I want to show you guys something here. Let's give it a wipe. Alright, the dipstick is completely dry right now. I wiped it off. Let's stick it in. I don't know if you can see it. She's still right at the full mark. Right where I left it when I last serviced it. So I guess that answers our million-dollar question. Toyota does know what they are doing. They did admit that they made a mistake when they built this engine. And they did correct it. Granted, you had to be within a certain age and mileage and within certain oil burning parameters. But if you did have one that was burning an excessive amount of oil, Toyota performed the repairs. They replaced the pistons and rings with updated parts. And it appears to have fixed the problem on this engine. It's gone about 100,000 miles because it was done at 60,000. It's got 160 on it now on these new pistons and rings, and it still is not burning any measurable amount of oil. So with that being said, if you are looking at one of these cars and it has had that service bulletin performed, I wouldn't hesitate. You know, car runs great. It's getting 33, 34 miles to the gallon. Putting around, let's see, I'm driving 80 miles to work one way. I'm putting around 160 miles on this car a day. And it's been absolutely flawless. So with that being said, like, share, and subscribe. And we're going to be doing brakes and some other things on this car soon. So stay tuned.